recent events, Grammy Award winner John Baptiste and the synth pop band Future Islands. Join me for a celebration of live music and the people who make it. I'm Allison Stewart, and that's next time on All of It, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
Next time on the New Yorker Radio Hour, are Palestinian journalists being targeted in Gaza?
Since October the 7th, we've seen a number of cases in which journalists have been killed when clearly wearing press insignia. IDF might say, well, actually, we weren't responsible, and then they would deflect and perhaps accuse that journalist of being a terrorist.
I'll talk with the head of the Committee to Protect Journalists next time on the New Yorker Radio Hour. Listen tomorrow morning at 10 on 93.9 FM or get the podcast.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London and see what they're working on. London, good morning.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Tim Franks. On today's NewsHour, the UN's top court issues its interim judgment on the genocide case against Israel. That's BBC NewsHour, coming up at 9 on WNYC.
We have showers across the area under those clouds there, 43 right now. Today's forecast on and off rain, probably till late morning. Fog clearing up early afternoon. We'll reach up near 50 at about 47 or so. And then tonight, some patchy fog, so be careful if you're out and about. And then tomorrow, mostly cloudy, 48. Rain likely Saturday night, and more rain to come on Sunday. A high near 41 as we cool off. Again, 43 with showers. It's 8:52.
Remember IBM, an old-timey brand like Lotus 1-2-3? Well, hardly.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Deloitte. Unlocking innovation takes more than AI or cloud. It takes outcome-focused application, too. Learn more at Deloitte.com/US/engineering advantage. And by UiPath. More than 10,000 organizations use the UiPath AI-powered business automation platform to put AI to work. UiPath.com/marketplace. UiPath, the foundation of innovation.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. International Business Machines, IBM, is making a fortune on artificial intelligence. IBM stock has hit a 10-year high. Marketplace's Henry Epp reports.
Hype around AI has boosted a lot of different tech companies over the last year or so, but Wall Street analysts hadn't expected IBM to rake in quite so much revenue in the last quarter of 2023. Reporting its financial results yesterday, the company that made its name developing some of the world's first computer systems last century said demand for its AI platform nearly doubled between the third and fourth quarter last year. The company expects its revenue to keep growing this year by a few percentage points, and its chief financial officer predicted AI would produce some financial inflection points next year and beyond. But IBM's revenue growth also came in a year when it cut nearly 4,000 jobs, and it plans to cut even more positions this year. I'm Henry Epp for Marketplace.
Now, IBM's happy day was not mirrored at Tesla after posting profits that dismayed many analysts and indicating that they're not expecting big jumps in electric car production this year. Tesla's stock plummeted more than 12%, knocking more than $80 billion off the company's stock market value. The inflation gauge preferred by the guardians of interest rates at the Federal Reserve is just in, showing only a wisp of inflation in December, excluding volatile food and energy prices, the way the Fed likes it. Personal consumption expenditures rose just 0.2% in December. Prices are up 2.6% in a year. After the S&P 500 hit a new all-time high yesterday, futures suggests the index will open down slightly in just over half an hour. And here's a number, $23 billion. That's the record amount of money in federal contracts secured in 2023 by organizations owned by tribal authorities in the U.S. The number's been up for 8 years in a row using a calculation from Tribal Business News. Marketplace's Savannah Marr reports.
Tribal firms are benefiting from larger total federal contracting budgets in recent years, but they're also earning a growing share of the contracting pie. About 3% in 2023.
A big part of that has been driven by tribes at the beginning of the pandemic, kind of stepping back and analyzing their revenue streams.
Casey Lozar is with the Minneapolis Fed's Center for Indian Country Development. He says the pandemic hobbled businesses in the gaming and hospitality sectors, a major source of revenue for many tribal governments, which realized
further diversification is needed.
A lot of the recent growth comes from defense contracting, says Quentin Carroll with the Native American Contractors Association.
I'd say it goes all the way from, say, janitorial services at a military base to very advanced engineering contracts.
And since tribal nations don't typically tax their citizens, Carroll says the revenue helps fund vital services.
Whether that's healthcare, schooling, education, infrastructure.
Contracting also creates jobs for Native workers living in their tribal communities, who, according to the Minneapolis Fed, currently face an unemployment rate twice the national average. I'm Savannah Marr for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verified traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM-agnostic, IP liability-free. Learn more at c3.ai. And by JLL, a leasing, management, investment, and technology company dedicated to creating a brighter future for the world of commercial real estate. JLL.com. See a brighter way.
The Hollywood news site Deadline is reporting the first big distribution deal out of the Sundance Film Festival. Searchlight Pictures will pay $10 billion for a Brothers Go Back to Poland road trip film with Kieran Culkin. We're going into the festival's final weekend here. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes has more.
Josh Braun has 9 documentaries premiering at Sundance this year. He runs Submarine, a sales, production, and distribution company. He says last year the appetite for docs at the festival was kind of muted. But this year?
The marketplace is starting to get a pulse. You just don't know till you get there, screen the films, and see the reaction.
Braun says he tries to be strategic about approaching buyers. That includes streaming companies, networks, and other movie distributors. He looks at whether outlets have holes in their schedules. He also keeps an eye on which companies are announcing giant increases in subscribers or are having layoffs and might not have big budgets.
Every company goes through whatever they're going through, and we just sort of go for where the money is.
Also, he tries to have a realistic talk with each of his filmmakers about whether their movie could bring people into theaters or if it might find its audience on the small screen instead. Sundance Institute CEO Joanna Vicente says sales at the festival so far are on pace with last year, including some big deals.
There's still an appetite for that, and some people are coming in with those big numbers.
She points to Netflix's purchase of the horror movie, It's What's Inside, for a reported $17 million. Netflix confirmed the purchase, but wouldn't talk about what it paid. And Vicente says buyers are putting a lot of thought into how much they spend.
There's also a little bit of what are the realistic projections of how will the film perform.
And these days, a lot of the people who like watching independent films like watching them at home in their PJs.
The theatrical side of things is not there like it was before.
Peter DeBruge is chief film critic for Variety, and by before he means prior to the pandemic. He says a lot of indie filmmakers are still making their movies with the idea that they'll be seen at the movies.
And that's not necessarily the market that exists anymore at Sundance.
Still, independent films are having a moment, says ComScore media analyst Paul Dergarabedian.
They've never been more important than ever.
Dergarabedian says audience are hungry for films that don't feature superheroes or have a Roman numeral at the end of their titles. And he says lots of these independent filmmakers are looking to have their movies submitted for awards.
Currency of quality in that case is more important than dollars and cents.
He points out a lot of these films will have a second life once they reach the small screen. Though, of course, he says the best possible outcome is to be critically acclaimed, popular, and profitable. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
Our executive producer is Kelly Silvera, digital producer Dylan Miettinen, engineers Jessen Dueller and John Brewington. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report. We are from APM, American Public Media.